Hello, everyone, and welcome to the quarterfinals of the StarCityGames.com Season 1 Invitational to close out Season 1 of the 2018 SCG Tour. Cedric Phillips, Todd Anderson, we are here in the booth. Nick Miller is down in the feature match areas. We're getting ready to watch Michael Hamilton, your number 3 overall seed, playing Mardo Hollow One against Gerard Fabiano, your number 6 overall seed, playing Jeskai Control. At SCG Tour, hashtag SCGCon all weekend long for your tweets, as it looks like Michael Hamilton's going to send his hand back right away. Not interested in the 7 cards that he saw. We'll see if Fabiano wants to keep his. And we'll be underway here in just a moment. As do remember here in our quarterfinals and for all of our matches in our elimination rounds, 2 games pre-sideboard, 3 games post-sideboard.
I don't want to claim that this was my idea, but on the Versus series about 3 years ago or so, maybe 4 years ago, I thought it would be better to have a few more games before we moved to sideboarding. Shortly after that, Wizards of the Coast thought that would be a great idea for the Pro Tour Top 8's Best of 5.
Okay.
And then eventually Star City Games adopted that to mirror the Pro Tour. So I'm not going to say it's my idea.
But.
It's my idea.
But it's
my idea.
But okay.
One cool thing about how we do coverage here at the Star City Games Invitational is this is the first round of quarterfinal matches. Normally, when we do coverage of an open, we do all 4 quarterfinal matches at the same time. We pick the one we want to see, or actually the Twitch chat picks the ones they want to see. And then we play one match of the quarterfinals, then we move to the semifinals and the finals. Here you're going to get to see a full match here between Gerard Fabiano and Michael Hamilton. You're also going to get to see the second round of the quarterfinals right after this. So we're going to be bringing you guys a lot more action as we go along.
We have to cover a lot of Magic here in the quarters, the semis, and of course the finals. And we can't forget as well, at the conclusion of this, we'll be taking a look at our no ban list Modern top right as well. So we had a lot of fun covering Vintage yesterday. We'll have a lot of fun covering Modern here, and then Degenerate Modern a little bit later. For Michael Hamilton right now, he has kept his 6. He's trying to figure out where he wants to scry this card, and he's going to put it on the top. So we will begin our quarterfinals with a Blackleaf Cliffs and a Faithless Looting. 2 cards on the way here for Hamilton. He'll be discarding 2, of course. Picked up a Burning Inquiry among these cards.
Yeah, so Hamilton in this matchup is definitely just looking for not only the resilient threats in Flamewake Phoenix and Bloodghast, but he also needs something like Hollow One or Gurmag Angler to really get the ball rolling. He has shaved a little bit on these bigger Delve creatures in Gurmag and Tasigur, so it may actually be a little bit more difficult for him to get full value out of Flamewake Phoenix, and that's something Gerard may be able to capitalize with.
Burning Inquiry going to be cast here early this morning, so a little bit of random discard on the way for Hamilton and Fabiano. You saw Fabiano just start things off with a tapped Steam Vent, so players will figure out exactly how they will solve the randomization here in just a moment. And then we will see what Michael Hamilton's able to put together. Hamilton with 7 cards going to be going down to 4. Fabiano with 10 going to be going back down to 7.
Honestly, we talked earlier in the broadcast about why I don't like Hollow One. Manually resolving Burning Inquiry feels like a nightmare.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's very different. Let's see what Fabiano lost here. He lost a couple of lands and a Karn.
Not a bad hit. If he's got a few more lands to work with, that's fine. However, sometimes you can steal free wins as the Hollow One deck by Burning Inquiry, getting lucky, and taking away all of the mana sources that your opponent has in hand.
Michael Hamilton's going to cycle a couple of Street Wraiths here. Picked up a mountain, and it looks like another land from those cycles. Does he have anything explosive going on? It does not look like anything too crazy. Well, a Gurmag Angler's not bad, because now this forces Fabiano to have exactly Path to Exile.
Yeah, Fabiano doesn't have a ton of ways to interact with these larger creatures, but what he does have access to is Path to Exile as a 3-of. If he is able to cobble together 2 copies of Lightning Bolt or a Lightning Bolt and a Lightning Helix over the next 2 turns, he can double spell to kill the Angler. And with Michael Hamilton burning a lot of virtual cards by -1 on the Faithless Looting, technically a -1 on a Burning Inquiry, those card advantage loss plus the mulligan could be too much for him to come back from.
Bloodghast the draw there for Hamilton. And we can't forget about the Faithless Looting that is in the graveyard right now for Michael Hamilton as well. He will start by playing a mountain, and now he will flash back Faithless Looting. Again, Fabiano does have some counterspells in his deck, most notably Logic Knot here. Logic Knot not going to do a ton in this matchup, of course, because Hollow One doesn't play a ton of spells, but enough that it can function. However, No logic not there for Fabiano. So Hamilton's going to discard another copy of Burning Inquiry and a Bloodghast. Here comes the Angler, and the hit for 5 is going to work. So Fabiano's going to fall down to 15.
I think I would have liked for Hamilton to actually discard the land and keep the Burning Inquiry here. I think you can try to get a little lucky by hitting a land off of the Burning Inquiry. Plus, the Burning Inquiry can give you enough cards in the graveyard to easily cast the Tasker Golden Fang, which he drew.
Unsurprisingly, Aaron Barrich has already won game 1 of his matchup against Anthony Skripchek. Of course, Barrich is playing Infect, where Skripchek is playing Mono Green Devotion. A very difficult pairing there for Aaron. If we have time to jump that way, we of course will. I do find it unlikely because I think Aaron is going to be kind of in cruise control over there, Todd.
Yeah, I mean, I think that matchup is fairly lopsided in favor of Infect. That's the dream type matchup you want when you're playing a deck like Infect. Not a lot of interaction. Their clock is a little bit slower than yours. They're virtually a only creature-based deck, and they're not going to kill you on turn 3.
Lingering Souls, the draw here for Michael Hamilton, an awkward one to be sure, as here comes another hit from the Gurmag Angler, so it doesn't look like Fabiano has a path to exile just yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of damage coming Gerard's way, and not having an answer to it is one way that Michael Hamilton can just take this game, even though his draw wasn't that good. But even though his draw wasn't that good, he still played a 5-5 on turn 2.
Hey, he's going to play a 4-5 now in a Tassiger. And now this will be a Snapcaster Mage. So Snapcaster Mage is just going to be a 2-1 pass the turn back. We're going to head back over to Fabiano.
It looks like Gerard is a little shy on red mana, so even if he was able to cobble together Lightning Bolt ×2 or Bolt plus Helix, he doesn't quite have the mana for it. But this Jace the Mind Sculptor here, going to look pretty good. These Delve creatures don't have a lot of food to come back onto the battlefield quickly, and a really smart end-of-turn Naked Snapcaster Mage from Gerard can protect his Jace the Mind Sculptor, so he can either choose to bounce again or get a free Brainstorm and try to find some answers to these large creatures.
Looks like a Lightning Bolt may have been picked up here by Michael Hamilton.
That is certainly a great draw from Michael's side. He's able to clear the Snapcaster Mage, uses Tassiger the land also lets the Bloodghast come back. Gerard being at 9 gives it haste. That 2 damage takes down the Jace, and that Tassiger swinging in for 4, putting Gerard all the way down to 5.
That means that Hamilton now can attack for the lethal next turn. Fabiano's going to have to find some way to stop this. Keep in mind, again, in Hamilton's hand, a Lingering Souls, which he cannot cast at the moment. Going to have to find a way to discard that or find one of his white sources, and that Gurmag Angler that was put back in Hamilton's hand via Jace the Mind Sculptor. And you kind of saw, Jace the Mind Sculptor, that was a good Jace, I would say.
I think Michael had to get a little lucky there to find the Lightning Bolt to clear. The Bloodghast, coming back off the land, was going to be able to clear the Jace off the battlefield anyway. But at the same time, Gerard, took a little bit more damage because of the Lightning Bolt draw.
Fabiano going to fall down to 4 with that fetch. Again, not searching up another red source. So Fabiano just going to be operating with a Steam Vents as his red source at the moment. Curious to see what Gerard's plan is now. Again, he does have Teferi in hand. He also has Restoration Angel, his one of in hand. Players do have access to each other's deck list, so Michael Hamilton has some idea of what Gerard's up to here this weekend with regards to wonky things that he has in his deck. And Gerard has been known to play some strange one-ofs that cost 3, 4, or 5 mana. But for the New Jersey native, it always brings him a lot of success.
Teferi here can buy him at least one turn. It tucks away the Tassiger. And that draw for Michael later in the game, 2 turns from now, is not a great draw. Because there's no food in the graveyard for these Delve creatures, Michael's already stuck with a Gurmag Angler in hand. Even though Gerard might lose the Teferi on the attack from the Bloodghast, it's not that big of a deal. Gerard's just trying to survive.
Fabiano's going to tuck away that that Tassiger. And now, with Fabiano at 4, there's a combination of cards here that Michael Hamilton can find to win the game. The easy one's Bloodghast. It'll have haste. He can just attack him and kill him. Lightning Bolt will do it too, Todd.
Well, he needs to draw a land to be able to bring back Bloodghast, and we already know that the top card of his deck after that draw step was Tassiger in the top 2. But the Faithless Looting draw is a great one because he's able to get rid of that Lingering Souls and use it on flashback since he doesn't have access to white mana.
All right, Michael Hamilton looks like he's found 2 cards. He's going to discard Gurmag, Angler, and Lingering Souls will go to the graveyard. Bloodghast, I have to imagine, is going to finish off Teferi, and it will. And now we'll see Lingering Souls flash back. 2 Spirit Tokens on the way. Again, Michael Hamilton doing a great job of presenting lethal yet again, solving some of these problems here. So we're going to head back over to Fabiano and see if Fabiano can stave off elimination.
Yeah, but even though Gerard has, he's on the back foot, he has Restoration Angel, he has Lightning Bolt. He's going to survive this turn unless Michael Hamilton is able to peel a Lightning Bolt off the top.
This will be a flooded strand there for Fabiano, and he'll pass the turn back. So we're going to go back over to Michael Hamilton. Hamilton will draw a copy of Hollow One.
So here Hamilton has the option to flashback Faithless Looting, discarding 2 cards, and that'll allow him to cast Hollow One for 1 mana. I don't dislike that play. He also can just spend 4 mana, exile the Gurmag Angler and the Lightning Bolt, and play a Tassiger.
Fabiano's going to start with a Restoration Angel. That's going to jump in front of Bloodghast. 2 damage not going to be dealt just yet. This is where things get a little bit ugly for Fabiano because he's got to point Lightning Bolts at things he doesn't want to point them at. But Lightning Bolt doesn't have a lot of good targets in the matchup.
No, it does not. And that's one of the reasons why I think Hamilton is favored in this particular matchup. But at the same time, Gerard can steal games if he gets a little lucky here. He's not even dead. He's on a land in hand and another Lightning Bolt. But if he's able to chain together some Cryptic Commands and Michael is not able to draw a Lightning Bolt, Gerard could steal this game just on the back of the pressure from Restoration Angel.
Hamilton's going to discard a couple of cards here. He picked up a Sacred Foundry and a Burning Inquiry off of that Faithless Looting that he's recast. So going to discard a couple of cards. Looks like Inquiry and Lingering Souls will go to the graveyard. You see him slide his lands across because he's got another one that he wants to play.
So he can play the land here, bring back Bloodghast, and flashback Lingering Souls, but he also has the option to just cast Tassiger or cast the Hollow One. I think casting the Hollow One here is a priority because he's out of ways to discard cards. So I think that's a heads-up play by Hamilton, choosing the card that's a little more difficult to cast later on.
And one of the things I've liked about Hamilton so far this game, this is the second time he's done this, not playing a land to bring back Bloodghast right now. He could have done that a couple of turns ago, but he actually sandbagged a land to be able to bring it back on that turn that he killed Jace. And this turn, he could just play Sacred Foundry tapped and get back his Bloodghast, but he's saying, I'm not going to do that because I can do this anytime. It'll have haste because of Gerard's Life Total. Maybe I can take him by surprise.
Notably, he also could have exiled his entire graveyard, including the Lingering Souls, and played both Hollow One and Tassiger, but that would have left him vulnerable to Supreme Verdict, which he definitely did not want to do. At this stage in the game, Gerard's only real ways to stave off dying are Cryptic Command and Supreme Verdict, and Michael wants to try to play around those cards as much as possible.
Wooded Foothills to draw here for Hamilton. We'll see if he wants to play the Fetch or the Sacred Foundry to get Bloodghast back. It looks like he's going to go towards the Fetch. That'll trigger the Bloodghast. Of course, it will have haste because Fabiano has 10 or less life. And at this stage, Todd, I think you do what most players do when they play against a Cryptic Command deck, and they say, attack step?
Yeah, he's definitely just trying to get in the last few points of chip damage. Gerard here, Desperation, Bolt on the Bloodghast against a Fetch land, Chump blocking the Hollow One, taking a damage, going down to 1 life. And this is not looking good for Gerard. Losing that Restoration Angel means he has virtually no chance of winning this game now.
Do you want to add anything to the battlefield here in this instance?
I don't think so. You want to use your Fetch land end of turn, I believe, to bring back Bloodghast. Even if Gerard's able to rip a big removal spell, you don't want to overextend onto the battlefield. But at the same time, presenting another Lingering Souls means that even if Gerard peels Supreme Verdict, your Bloodghast is still lethal, and you have a follow-up Tassiger.
So I really like this play here by Michael Hamilton of flashing back Lingering Souls. The card I'm concerned about if I'm Michael is there's only one, and it's Secure the Waste.
Sure.
If Secure the Waste gets peeled, then we're going to play on a couple more turns. I don't really want to do that. Now that he's presented flyers, it means that if Fabiano did peel Supreme Verdict, the game would end for multiple reasons, obviously, because of the Bloodghast and the lands and all that good stuff. But I like this is a way to play around Gerard peeling Secure the Waste. Now, here's a Teferi, and as good as Teferi is, and it's very good, I don't think this is going to do it for Fabiano.
He has no cards in hand, but this could be the combo draw he needs to actually come back in this game. If he draws Cryptic Command right now, he gets to untap, he gets to buy himself 1 more turn. Actually, no, he doesn't. That's sick. If Michael's able to see the line of don't crack Fetch land, he can actually bring back the Bloodghast after the Cryptic Command resolves, still have a haste attack or an attack for a lethal. That means Gerard would have to use Cryptic Command to tap everything and draw Path to Exile or Bolt to save himself.
Well, I believe Michael Hamilton says, I am attacking you, not your Teferi, because I don't care about your Teferi. I care about killing you, and that'll work just fine. As Michael Hamilton's going to win game number 1 here over Gerard Fabiano, Mardu Hollow One up a game over Jeskai Control. Mardu Hollow One very resilient. Bloodghast getting a lot of work done there, and it wasn't the most explosive starts there for Michael Hamilton, but it was good enough as we're going to get ready for a second game. So, again, remember, the second game will be without sideboards, so we take a short commercial break. We get ready here for game number 2. We are back. Cedric Phillips, Todd Anderson getting ready here for Michael Hamilton and Gerard Fabiano. That's Mardu Hollow One against Jeskai Control. Hamilton able to get game number 1 with, again, keep in mind if you were with us for that first game, not that explosive of a start, a mulligan to 6, but it's the resiliency of Hollow One that is appealing.
Yeah, the mulligans on the Mardu Hollow One side don't affect the deck that much. You have a lot of virtual card advantage with things like Bloodghast, Flamewake Phoenix, being able to flashback things like Faithless Looting. You know, these are cards that enable your explosive draws, but at the same time, you know, the minus cards doesn't matter. Otherwise, you wouldn't be playing Burning Inquiry. Technically speaking, Burning Inquiry and Faithless Looting are -1 card. But when you're discarding things that you can flash back or bring back, you know, you're breaking even while enabling all these explosive starts with Delve creatures and such.
Aaron Barrich does win game number 3 in his matchup against Aaron Skripchek, so they are going into game number 4. Barrich up 2-1 as Michael Hamilton's going to sacrifice a Wooded Foothills. Fabiano starts things off with a Hallowed Fountain that enters the battlefield tapped to preserve his life total a little bit here. And now for Hamilton, he'll get a Blood Crypt, going to fall down to 17. We'll see exactly where Hamilton does want to start. Does he have a Faithless Looting, a Burning Inquiry, or perhaps one of the most powerful cards in the deck, Flameblade Adept?
Yeah, Flameblade Adept is one of these weird cards that was barely playable in Limited. But when you start combining it with really powerful discard effects, really powerful looting effects, you get a Delver-esque creature that not only costs 1 mana, has evasion, but can reward you for playing these spells that do, quote-unquote, do nothing. You know, your Burning Inquiries start adding 3 damage to the stack, your Faithless Lootings add 2 damage to the stack, and Street Wraith adds 1 damage to the stack, all while enabling the rest of your cards.
This will be a Goblin Lore here from Michael Hamilton, and that is going to resolve. Now, I don't know if you got a good glimpse of Michael Hamilton's hand there, Todd, but he has not 1, but 2 copies of Hallowed One in hand, so we could have a little crazy action here.
Spin the wheel!
Hamilton will draw 4. He'll be discarding 3 here in just a moment. Do keep in mind when he discards those 3 cards, there'll be 3 triggers there for Flameblade Adept as well, so it could be attacking for at least 4 points of damage and maybe more.
I hope he keeps both Hollow Ones. I hope so badly.
1, 2, and 3. Those are the cards that he will lose, and
yes!
he has kept the Hollow One.
Yes!
Bloodghast.
I'm not. I want to be clear. I'm not rooting against Jeskai. I am rooting for Hollow One.
Bloodghast, the most notable card going into the graveyard there. Flameblade Adept and Gurmag Angler also placed in the graveyard. Here comes Flameblade Adept in for 4. That hit will work. It's going to get a little nasty. Hollow One.
If he only plays 1, I'm going to be so upset.
Hollow One.
Okay. All right. Get that pressure on the battlefield. Even though Gerard could play a Supreme Verdict on turn 4, they know deckless. Michael knows that there's only 2 copies in Gerard's deck. Plus, even if Gerard does have that Supreme Verdict on 4, he's able to chunk in for 8 damage off those Hollow Ones. And he has the backup Bloodghast out of the graveyard, so getting Gerard below 10 life is very important to give it haste so that you can keep attacking with it every turn through removal spells.
Fabiano going to search up a Sacred Foundry, pass the turn back. We go back over to Gerard. He is in some trouble right now. That is for sure.
Pretty sure that Karn's leaving the deck after this game.
Oh, yeah. This is not the matchup for that card.
Well, it looks like he is squeezing that Supreme Verdict 2 cards into his hand. So, Gerard, as long as he's able to survive this turn, which I think he should. Oh, maybe not. Wow. Lightning Bolt off the top for Hamilton. Looks like he has a Lingering Souls. Not quite lethal. If he had something like another Goblin Lore here or Burning Inquiry, he actually presents lethal potentially with the Lightning Bolt.
Well, that's a timely path.
Yeah, Gerard making sure to protect his life total. I like this play even though you're effectively losing out on a card, not only giving your opponent a land, but you're making your Supreme Verdict a little bit worse.
The Path to Exile is going to net Michael a land, as you did mention. That'll get you a mountain. Trigger, get the Bloodghast back, so Bloodghast under the battlefield there. Looks like 5 damage is going to come across. And these players will get the life totals sorted out here in just a moment. Looks like Fabiano should fall down to exactly 10, and he will.
Yeah, and that's the right number for this Bloodghast to keep coming back with haste.
So Hamilton will shuffle. Fabiano will cut here in just a moment. Then we'll see what Hamilton's follow-up is going to be.
Honestly, I like passing turn. You have plenty of pressure on the battlefield. You have a Bolt in hand. You have this hasty Bloodghast. If Gerard has Supreme Verdict next turn, you want him to just clear this board, and then you want to rebuild next turn.
Well, I like Gerard's play with that path for the reasons that you mentioned, but also this kind of baits Hamilton into playing something additional.
That's true.
That gets swept away.
That's a very good point.
And that's exactly what Fabiano's going to do. He's going to play Supreme Verdict, kill all the creatures, but as you mentioned, Todd, Bloodghast doesn't seem to mind as long as Hamilton has an additional land, which he does have a Blood Crypt in hand, and now timely top deck there with the Bloodstained Mire. He needed a white source to be able to cast Lingering Souls, and he has just found it.
Yeah, and I want to go back to your previous point. Not a lot of people talk about the value of hiding information, and when you use that Path to Exile on the Hollow One, you are signaling to your opponent that you're just trying to grind them out. Maybe next turn you go Snapcaster Path that deals with the other copy of Hollow One, and maybe they don't have Supreme Verdict. But if he doesn't cast a Path to Exile and just does nothing, Michael doesn't have to cast a single spell. Mm-hmm. He just is attacking you for 9 damage, putting you to 6 life, doesn't play another card. And now you at least get to sweep that Flameblade Adept out of his hand, which effectively trades for another card. But also, you keep your life total 4 points higher.
Well, Hamilton has reloaded his battlefield here with 2 Lingering Souls tokens and that Bloodghast. Karn is going to reveal a couple of cards. The Logic Knot in a search for his Kanta. And as powerful as Karn, Sign of Urza is, and it's a very powerful Planeswalker, make no mistake about it. On this battlefield, not so much. Search will go to the grip. Logic Knot will go to the... Get a little silver counter.
The silver zone.
Yes. As we will head back over to Michael Hamilton, who's drawn another copy of Hollow One.
Hamilton needs to be a little bit careful here, not to overextend into a Snapcaster Supreme Verdict. I like attacking face as opposed to attacking Karn. I think you just let Gerard gain, the Factor Fiction card every turn. He just gets the worst of the two. You want to try to put as much pressure on his life total as possible. Make him use these lightning bolts on stuff like Bloodghast, these menial creatures that you don't mind trading 1 removal spell for.
It is hard not to love these exchanges if you're Michael Hamilton. Lightning bolting a Bloodghast is not getting Fabiano anywhere. You can recoup your battlefield a little bit if you'd like by casting either a Hollow One here, or you can just recast Lingering Souls, get a Bloodghast back. There is a Hollow One, and pass the turn back.
Personally, I like holding the land. I like flashing back Lingering Souls. Next turn, you can just play the land, bring back Bloodghast, attack for 2, and cast Hollow One. Both lines present lethal, but this one from Hamilton is a little more vulnerable to Supreme Verdict because he doesn't have a land in hand now. Or he at least has one fewer land.
Serum Visions is going to go to Gerard's hand. Snapcaster Mage is going to get a silver counter underneath Karn, Scion of Urza. And so now we'll see how Fabiano wants to move forward. Keep in mind one thing Fabiano does have in hand is he does have a Flooded Strand, so he'll sacrifice that and go down to 5. He also has a copy of Cryptic Command.
Normally this main phase of a fetch land here kind of signals to the audience as well as to Michael that a Snapcaster Supreme Verdict is about to happen. Otherwise, Gerard would probably sit on the fetch lane and do it like, you know, on Michael's end step, for example.
Let's see if it'll be something like Snapcaster Verdict. It's actually just going to be Search for Iskanta. Keep in mind, Michael Hamilton gave Gerard that Search for Iskanta as opposed to a Logic Knot, so if Search for Iskanta comes back to hurt Michael, that's his own fault as we head back over to Hamilton, who's drawn a copy of Flame Wake Phoenix.
So Gerard here has a few lines of play next turn, but this one it's 100% Cryptic tap team, draw a card. That'll protect his life total, as well as allow him next turn to minus the Karn, find that Snapcaster Mage with a silver counter on it, and then go Snap Verdict to clear the battlefield. But if Michael's able to draw a land, he brings back Bloodghast, puts Gerard to 3 life, and uses the Lightning Bolt to finish the job.
Nice thing here for Michael is he's actually sandbagging a land in hand right now, and he picked up that copy of Flame Wake Phoenix, which of course has haste, and he's got a Lightning Bolt in hand. Those are the 3 cards he's working with. Don't forget about that Lingering Souls that's in the graveyard as well. If I'm Michael in this spot, he doesn't have to do too much. That Bolt gives him a lot of security. I'm happy to just announce my attack step and make him have Cryptic Command in this spot. I don't want to play Flame Wake Phoenix pre-combat. I don't really want to do much of anything pre-combat because I don't feel like I need to.
Yeah, the more creatures he puts on the battlefield here, though, the more he forces Gerard to cast Supreme Verdict next turn. So I actually don't mind this play of flashing back Lingering Souls, and it doesn't really matter when he casts it either pre-combat or post-combat. He just basically wants Gerard to Snapcaster Verdict, and then he goes for the win next turn.
Yeah, that's the goal, is get him to Snapcaster Verdict. If he can do that, that costs 6 mana. That costs 6 mana on Gerard's turn. Then you can set yourself up for a victory. You've got the tools to do so.
Gerard might expect something like the combo of land plus Lightning Bolt as lethal, but I don't know if there's much he can do about it. If he finds a line that allows him to continually go Snap Cryptic, eventually cast Verdict with something like Path to Exile in hand, he may be able to snag this game, even though he's very far behind.
Yeah, it would be very tough, I think, for Fabiano to come back into this one. Not impossible. I mean, he's got Karn on the battlefield. He's got access to a lot of powerful cards and plenty of mana, and we can't ignore that Iskanta, the Sunken Ruin that has just been transformed. Fabiano's going to start with the Serum Vision. So he'll draw a card, and now he'll scry 2. So Gerard will take a look at the top couple of cards. We'll see how he wants to scry here in just a moment. And very quickly going to put both cards to the bottom. So that is not what the doctor ordered, as Serum Visions is done resolving.
Yeah, so now with the Karn minus, almost assuredly getting back Snapcaster Mage. But then Gerard has to make a choice. If he goes for Snap Verdict, whoa.
Bolt and Path.
Whoa, maybe he already has a Cryptic?
Maybe. By the way, giving him Lightning Bolt is easy.
I actually disagree. I think giving him Lightning Bolt gives Gerard a chance to just kill you with burn spells. 12 is a precarious life total against a deck with a bunch of Lightning Bolts and Lightning Helixes. Obviously, the Path to Exile is able to clear the Bloodghast, so you don't want your opponent to be able to do that. But one of Jeskai easiest ways to steal games out of nowhere is with a few copies of Lightning Bolt, a Snapcaster Mage attack here, there, and maybe a Restoration Angel to secure their waste.
Another land is the draw there for Michael Hamilton and Blackcleave Cliffs. Again, I think this is a spot where you just announce your attack step and make him have the Cryptic or the Snap Cryptic in this instance, which is what he's got. So here is Snap plus Cryptic Command. Looks like it's going to be a tap and draw scenario, as we see so often from this Jeskai control deck.
Yeah, Gerard's playing this super snug here. He's looking for Path to Exile, which he can potentially get next turn, he needs to have another Supreme Verdict and also a Path to Exile. Now, whether that's minusing the card to get back one of the other, or just drawing a Supreme Verdict or a copy of one of those cards is a different story. He needs to make sure that the Bloodghast plus Bolt doesn't kill him on the swing back. He doesn't know about the Lightning Bolt, but I feel like he sniffed it out if he didn't Wrath last turn.
Another Bolt to draw there for Fabiano. So maybe you're right. Maybe he could steal this one, Todd.
Like 2 Bolt, he can minus, get back Snapcaster. Like, he's already burned the Cryptic Command. If he has another Cryptic Command in hand, this could go either way.
Yeah, Fabiano's plan here is I need to accumulate burn spells. That's the way for me to steal this game. And if I'm able to do that, then I can actually get this game done. You see the 2 bolts in hand. Teferi in hand as well. Not sure if that plays a role in things right now or not. Fabiano looks like he's going to start with his Karn. He wants to get back. Ooh.
What? I want to know Gerard's hand right now. It would make this a lot easier. He's getting back that Logic Knot, I think, to protect him from Lightning Bolt, which is crazy, but also awesome. If he had minus to get back Snapcaster Mage, he could put Michael Hamilton at a virtual 1 life with the attack, the Bolt, and the Snap Bolt.
Huh.
This is close. If he has another Cryptic Command, I think he might just win this game.
I think he might win this game, too, if he's got another command. Hamilton will draw Sacred Foundries. Now, he's found a bunch of lands that he does not need.
Yeah, normally you don't mind drawing too many lands to keep bringing back Bloodghast, but in this instance, he needed to draw some action. Even a second copy of Lightning Bolt to threaten lethal.
Another Cryptic. All right, tap and draw. Now for Hamilton, you probably have to play defensive Flamewake Phoenix now.
Yeah, I think so too. That's a really good point. That actually might be enough to gum up the works, but you know, Gerard looks like he might just win this game.
Ooh, not going to play that Flamewake Phoenix. I do not like that. I think you had to play that. Because if you're Michael, you have to think something is up here. Because now here's Bolt, there's Bolt. Hamilton's going to fall down to 4. And that Logic Knot that Fabiano has is actually going to do a nice job of protection here. Put you down to 2. And you have to Bolt. You got to Bolt there.
Well, it's going to get Logic Knot regardless.
Yeah.
So I think Gerard just has this one locked up with minus Snapcaster casting Lightning Bolt.
He sure does.
This is crazy.
This is where Fabiano gets his edges. This is why he's such a great player. This is why he's made back-to-back invitational top 8s. Is he will find creative ways to get the job done. In a game that looked very difficult, is now he's going to actually lead out with an Endilion click and say, hey, I want to see what's in your hand. I want to make sure that this is safe, that I am good to go here. Hamilton's going to play a Lightning Bolt. That's going to knock Fabiano down to 2, I think, but that's not going to do anything. Flamewake Phoenix, a couple lands, that's nothing. Fabiano can just say, you get to keep it. I will play Snapcaster Mage. I will Bolt you. I have Logic Knot, and that is it. So Gerard Fabiano is going to tie things up here against Michael Hamilton. Jeskai Control and Mardu Hollow One are going to go to a third game all tied up where it looked like Hamilton was going to take that one away. Fabiano took it back. We're going to get ready for that third game.
Yeah, it was a couple strings of great draws from Gerard, but also great play.
Doesn't surprise you again. That reputation and those accolades, they do speak for themselves, and you see why as Fabiano ties it up in a tough matchup. Sideboard's coming. Quick break first. We are back. Cedric Phillips, Todd Anderson, getting ready for game number 3 between Michael Hamilton playing Mardu Hollow One and Gerard Fabiano playing Jeskai Control. We will start with Michael Hamilton and his sideboard, as he's got not this stuff. We got to flip the sideboards here real quick. 3 Fatal Push, 3 Grim Lavamancer here for Hamilton, along with 3 Thoughtseize, 2 Big Game Hunter, 2 Engineer Explosives, a Leyline of the Void, and a Stony Silence for Michael Hamilton as we get those flipped. What do you like there and why?
Honestly, there's not a ton out of this sideboard for the Jeskai Control match. It's such a good matchup that I think the only card you really want here is Thoughtseize. Leyline of the Void does have a little bit of value in that it can stifle the Snapcaster Mages as well as things like Logic Knot, but it's not that good. That's about it.
Other side of things, and we will take a look here at Fabiano's sideboard. He's got an Engineered Explosives, a Lyra Dawnbringer, a Timely Reinforcements, a Runed Halo, Celestial Purge, 2 Relic of Progenitus, 2 Dispel, 2 Negate, 2 Blood Moons, and 2 Ceremonious Rejection. What do we like there for Gerard Fabiano?
Exiling is definitely good. I think that Celestial Purge is a shoo-in. Relic of Progenitus, similar. It can contain some of the more resilient threats from Hamilton's side while also stifling the development for things like Gurmag Angler or Tassiger. Timely Reinforcements can, buy Gerard some time. I don't know if it's that good. A lot of the creatures fly, but it's mostly chump blocking. Timely Reinforcements is great when your tokens can actually trade for the creature as well as getting the 6th life.
I do like the Lyra Dawnbringer that Fabiano can bring to the battlefield here.
Yep.
I think that's a really good option.
Yeah, it checks the big guys while also gaining some life, and Michael has very few, if any, ways to actually kill it. I do not expect him to bring in Big Game Hunter just for the 2 copies of Lyra Dawnbringer, and his main deck has no ways to actually kill it.
Well, we got one player through to our semifinals, and that is going to be Aaron Barrich, number 2 overall seed.
He made it close.
Aaron Skripchak did make it close against Aaron Barrich, but ultimately Barrich able to get the job done. And for the Infect player on to the semifinals to play the winner of this match between Hamilton and Fabiano. Congratulations to Anthony Skripchak on one heck of a tournament, to be sure, for our number 7 overall seed, playing 2 very innovative decks here this weekend. Mono Green Devotion with Light Splashes, of course, and then in Standard, he played Blue-White Historic, because he said, hey, I found this deck online, copy-pasted it, apparently has a good matchup against Red, and apparently it does. Able to get him into the top 8, but not enough to get by Aaron Barrich. So again, congratulations to Aaron Barrich, going to play the winner of Michael Hamilton and Gerard Fabiano. That's in front of us. As we see these players shuffle up here and get ready for game number 3. Hamilton will be on the play. Felt like a game that maybe got away from him there, Todd. Not entirely sure.
Yeah, but there wasn't a lot he could do. And with the Mardu Hollow One deck, you don't have a lot of card manipulation. Not a lot of your cards gain you actual card advantage. So if you start flooding out and your opponent has a chain of cards that you can't interact with, sometimes you just lose. And we see the power in that game specifically of Cryptic Command and how it's this really powerful one-sided effect that a lot of decks can't really do anything about. The fact that it is cast from hand, if you're not playing counter spells, you can't really do anything about it.
Cryptic showed up in a big way there for Fabiano.
Oh, for sure.
And that's actually kind of what you talked about. He can use them kind of aggressively. In that instance, he was using them a little bit defensively to stay alive. But that's kind of the power of Cryptic Command is its versatility.
We pretty rarely see anything other than counterspell, draw a card, or tap team. And a lot of times it's counter draw, and a lot of times it's tap team, draw a card. I love it when you get to use the bounce effect because then the 4th mode really stands out. That bounce effect is a way for you in a lot of situations to really show off just how insane Cryptic Command was. And for those of you who are complaining about Standard now, imagine having to play against Cryptic Command in an entire Flash deck for a year and a half or 2 years.
It's not the most fun thing.
It was awful.
Yeah,
it was great because I was always the one playing Cryptic Command.
Yeah, I was not. We're going to see a Faithless Looting here after a Cycle Street Wraith. Hamilton's down to 15. He's going to draw a couple of cards, Goblin Lore among them. So you're going to see a Hollow One that's going to join the battlefield here in just a moment as well. Looks like a couple of copies of Flame Lake Phoenix might be hitting the graveyard here too. So Hamilton going to look pretty long at this before discarding Goblin Lore and Flame Lake Phoenix. So of course 2 triggers there for the Flame Blade Adam. So it's a 4-power creature. And now there is a Bloodstained Mire. So this is actually a great turn for Hamilton because now he's going to be able to go get a land. And it looks like he's going to go get himself a Sacred Foundry. That'll give him the white source there for Lingering Souls. He'll play a Hollow one for free, trigger Ferocious on that Flame Blade, or that Flame Wake Phoenix. And that'll be an attack there for 6 on the second turn of the game.
Yeah,
Not so bad.
This is a great start from Michael Hamilton's side of things. This is the kind of start you want on the play in the top 8 of the Star City Games Season 1 Invitational.
In there for 6. Fabiano going to fall down to 14.
Oh, Gerard's winning. He's at 14.
Yeah,
at 12.
That's true. And we're going to pass the turn back. Hamilton's got a pretty good hand, too. A Goblin Lore to follow up with. There's also a Lightning Bolt and a land. Fabiano will draw a card. Just going to tap his lone land there in Celestial Colonnade. Boy, he better have a Path to Exile, I'll tell you what.
I can't imagine he would keep this hand without Path to Exile. However, Gerard is notorious for never mulliganing hands.
He does not like to mulligan.
I saw Supreme Verdict. He might not have the Path to Exile here. And if he doesn't, this game is over.
Well, he may not have the time to cast Path to Exile. Now, if I'm Michael Hamilton, I am leading with Goblin Lore.
Oh, 100%. You want to make this Flame Blade Adept gigantic, and that's exactly the way you need to do it. What he can do here is actually lead with land, bolt, then cast Goblin Lore to get in max damage.
Sure.
That actually, I think, presents lethal because the Goblin Lore makes, let's see, maybe it's one short. 4, 8, 10, 13.
Yeah, it'll be 13. But that cuts fetch lands off and a bunch of other things. There's a lot of positives to doing things that way.
Yeah, and with most of the lands in Gerard's deck being either fetch lands or shock lands, you know, he's only got a handful of basics. That means his third and fourth land just either have to enter the battlefield tapped or just don't work at all.
Hamilton's going to lose a couple of cards here. It's a Gurmag Angler, another copy of Goblin Lore, and a Blood Crypt. We'll get a better idea of what his hand is now as he picks up those cards. That Lightning Bolt, of course, is still there. There's also a Goblin Lore that is still there. Looks like a Tasigur and a Faithless Looting. Or, excuse me, a Bloodghast and a Faithless Looting. So,
yeah, I would have liked for Michael to protect his land there from the Goblin Lore and play it. Even you want that Blood Crypt in play. It's able to cast virtually any spell you draw for 1 mana. But at the same time now, he doesn't have a land for Bloodghast, and he can't cast Lightning Bolt this turn. And he also can't cast the Faithless Looting, which would have put Gerard at 3 or less life, and then the Lightning Bolt could have finished him next turn.
All right, here comes the Path. That'll take care of the Flame Blade Adept. I think he's going to want to get a Swamp. Yeah, he's going to want to get a Swamp. That'll allow him to hard cast Bloodghast.
Yeah, if he wants to. He still has Faithless Looting in hand, though, so. If Gerard next turn has Snapcaster Path to Exile, that should buy him enough time to make it to Supreme Verdict mana. But Michael Hamilton's hand is still stacked right now.
Yeah, his hand is very good. This is actually one of those spots, too, where those Timely Reinforcements, he has one main, one board. Timely Reinforcements be pretty good right now.
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't really check the Flame Wake Phoenix, but it can buy you a ton of time against the ground pounders like Hollow One, Tasigur, Gurmag Angler, and even double blocking a Flame Blade Adept is not so bad.
And you don't mind the 6 life either, as Fabiano's going to draw a card here.
Oh, yeah, if he suspects Michael left in Lightning Bolt, which Michael clearly has because we see one in his hand, the life total buffer might be the thing that Gerard likes the most.
For Fabiano, he loves to slow roll himself with his draw steps, so he'll play an island here. And he'll just pass the turn back. Ruined Halo in hand, but we might see something like Snapcaster Mage plus Path to Exile, as Michael Hamilton will now draw a card.
Yeah, Snapcaster Path seems like a fairly obvious line here. Michael with a Thoughtseize off the top. That could change how this turn plays entirely.
It's an interesting place to start. This is one of the reasons, and I kind of agree with you, that he wishes he had that Blood Crypt now. He could use an additional mana. Now I don't know if he's supposed to start off with a Faithless Looting. If he plays a Thoughtseize, he won't be able to hard cast Bloodghast. Things get a little bit tricky now.
Yeah, at this stage in the game, if Gerard has Snapcaster Path, Lightning Bolt might actually be the worst card in his hand. This Thoughtseize here, I think, just gives him perfect information, which I do like. And now, once he sees Gerard's hand, he might just cast Goblin Lore as opposed to the Faithless Looting, just to be more mana efficient and see one more card deeper into his deck.
Really good play here by Fabiano, playing the Snapcaster Mage, targeting the Path to Exile, and then doing nothing else. You see Fabiano's hand. He's got the Lyra Dawnbringer, so he's brought that in. Ruined Halo, Cryptic Command, Lightning Bolt, and Supreme Verdict. Most notably, however, here, Todd, no 4th land.
So Gerard's play here, I think, is going to be block Hollow One and path to exile his own Snapcaster Mage to get his 4th land. Because right now, he's stuck on 3, needs to peel a land, either peel a land to cast a Supreme Verdict, or if he passes his own Snapcaster Mage, he can get the 5th land if he draws one and cast Lyra Dawnbringer, which might be lights out from Michael. If Michael plays this right and saves that Lightning Bolt to target the Snapcaster Mage in response to the path to exile, he might stick Gerard on just 3 lands and unable to do anything of consequence next turn.
Well, what do you want to take here with? Ooh, he's going to take Ruined Halo. I'm surprised by that choice.
I'm not, if only because it's the only card that Gerard can cast next turn. So Michael here, not going for the Goblin Lore, just going to go Faithless Looting, try to find a land, discard that Bloodghast, and then hold up the Lightning Bolt for the Path to Exile on the Snapcaster Mage.
Well, I ask you this with the Lightning Bolt. Do you want to target? Do you want to play it pre-combat or in response to Path to Exile? Because you can play it right now on the Snapcaster Mage, which means that you get to get damage in if he paths his own guy.
I don't know. I think if he main phased the Path to Exile, or sorry, if he main phased the Lightning Bolt targeting Snapcaster Mage, Gerard might be forced to just Path to Exile the Hollow One to save some life.
Yeah.
So I honestly don't know. But in this particular instance, he's 100% targeting his Snapcaster Mage.
You got to bolt that. You got to bolt that. You can't let him get a 4th land. You got to make his deck cooperate.
Yeah.
Especially if you haven't taken Lyra Dawnbringer, because if he peels a land on you and plays Lyra, the game is over.
Agreed.
And great recognition by you knowing exactly what Gerard was kind of up to, because it looks a little unorthodox, but you got to bolt it. Yeah, you can't let it happen. That's why I kind of like bolting pre-combat. But at the same time, if you bolt pre-combat and then he passes creature, he goes down to 2. Gerard has Cryptic Command online, Verdict online, like all this other stuff. So it's tough. Fabiano, what'd you draw? Serum Visions.
Oh, he has to hit a Path to Exile exactly here. Oh, no, I guess a Sulphur Falls or something. What are his red producing lands? If he has 2 copies of Steam Vents, 1 copy of Sulphur Falls.
Got Sacred Foundry in there too.
He has Lightning Bolt, but he has no basic mountain, and that's very important because Scalding Tarn is no longer an out.
Gerard found a Timely Reinforcement that he put on top. This is the red source.
Right, but he doesn't have a basic mountain, and his only interaction here is Lightning Bolt, so he has to take 3 damage to be able to cast this Lightning Bolt, and that's not going to be enough.
Yeah. So there's a Scalding Tarn. Fabiano at 6. Hamilton will draw a card.
Hamilton has perfect information here. Gerard drew the Serum Vision for the turn, played the Scalding Tarn off the land.
Yep.
Michael knows that there's nothing Gerard can do because he also knows Deckless.
Yep.
So he casts the Phoenix, takes the game.
Michael Hamilton going to win game number 3 here against Gerard Fabiano. Mardu Hollow One takes the lead over Jeskai Control. It's 2-1 in favor of Michael Hamilton. We're going to get ready for that 4th and final game. Fabiano going to go back to the sideboards. We will too. But first, a few messages from our sponsors. We are back, getting ready here for game number 4 between Michael Hamilton and Gerard Fabiano. Mardu Hollowan and Jeskai Control putting on an entertaining show here for us here in the booth and hopefully for you at home, as Hamilton was able to steal that 3rd game after some pretty good Faithless Lootings and Goblin Lores. Fabiano here still looking at that timely reinforcements. That Rune Halo looks like those are both in the deck there. Todd, I have to imagine the Purge, and we saw the Lyra too. Maybe the Relics, but I don't think a ton changes based off of what he saw from Michael Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean, the Rune Halo seems like an obvious inclusion once you take a second and think about it. The Rune Halo being a 1-card answer to every single copy of Bloodghast or Flamewake Phoenix is awesome.
For Michael Hamilton, I do agree with you. He does not have to sideboard much, though I am a little curious. This might be a little too techy, I suppose, but Big Game Hunter does kill Lyra Dawnbringer.
Yeah, and after seeing it with that Thoughtseize, there could be a thought in his head that maybe 1 copy of Big Game Hunter is more worthwhile than 1 copy of Lightning Bolt, if only because it can get you out of the situation of Lyra Dawnbringer ends the game.
And it is a sticky situation.
Yeah.
If Lyra Dawnbringer does show up in that particular game, let's say Fabiano does get to path his Snapcaster Mage, and then he does peel that 5th land and get to play Lyra Dawnbringer, the game is over.
Yeah, Hamilton can basically never put a Flamewake Phoenix onto the battlefield because that's just a free 5 life since it has to attack every turn. He can no longer attack unless he has, more than 10 power attacking at once, because not only does Lyra Dawnbringer block and eat a creature, it has first strike and gains life first.
It's bad news.
It's bad.
It's bad news.
If you've ever tried to attack into a Baneslayer Angel before, you know it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad news. Fabiano is going to sacrifice a Flooded Strand and get himself a Hallowed Fountain, fall down to 17. Then he will shuffle his deck, and I imagine we'll see a Serum Visions in just a moment here for Gerard.
Serum Vision's a very interesting card for Modern, with Ponder and Preordain thought of as too good for the format and being on the ban list because they help facilitate combo decks too easily. It's interesting to see how many people adapted so quickly and fell in love with Serum Visions. Not only do you get to filter your draws early, it's just a great card in decks like this. It pairs really well with Snapcaster Mage. I don't know if Ponder and Preordain are too good for the format specifically, but I do agree with the reasoning that perhaps giving combo decks a little too much consistency is not good for the format.
Well, Relic Progenitus isn't a bad place to start either against this Hollow 1 deck. That certainly does use its graveyard to its advantage. Hamilton's going to play and sacrifice a Wooded Foothills and get a land out of his deck, and Fabiano's going to immediately remove that Wooded Foothills from the graveyard. So, Blood Crypt One on the battlefield untapped there for Michael. He'll fall down to 17. Again, we'll be curious to see which 1-drop he wants to start with. You've, of course, got Faithless Looting, Burning Inquiry, and which has been a very powerful card for him in this match, Flameblade Adept.
Oh, for sure. The more nutty draws from the Hollow 1 deck do usually feature a Faithless Looting or Burning Inquiry on the first turn, but Flameblade Adept can certainly hold its own, as we saw last game. 2-cycle Street Race here from Michael. That means that if he's able to find a Hollow 1, it only costs 1 mana. Or another discard effect.
Let's go!
Means it's free. Oh, never look. Just put those 3 cards face down in your hand and shuffle. And then, after the discarding's done, it's like Christmas Day. It's like, what do I got? Sometimes it's the bad Christmas. Most people have one the bad Christmas, at least. But sometimes you get an Xbox.
Now, this could end up very poorly for Michael Hamilton because he can put 3 cards that he wants to put in the graveyard into the graveyard, and then Fabiano can just remove them all with the Relic. So this could go very poorly for him. Let's take a look. Flamewake Phoenix, Hollow 1, and Gurmag Angler.
He really wanted to keep that Hollow 1.
Does he have a Hollow 1 in hand? I think he's got 1.
Yeah, but it could have been 2.
All right. That's it for Michael Hamilton. Let's go back over to Gerard.
Oh, that random card draw sometimes. It bites you pretty hard.
Now, it is worth noting, what did Gerard lose there? He lost Supreme Verdict, Lightning Bolt, and Snapcaster Mage. So he lost some relevant cards in that exchange, too.
Oh, for sure. And those are 2 of the 3 cards there are some of the better cards in this matchup. Supreme Verdict and Snapcaster Mage are both his major sources of damage containment.
A conversation that Fabiano is going to ask here, which does not surprise me all that much, is the interaction between Hollow 1 and Flamewake Phoenix. Flamewake Phoenix trigger goes on the stack at the beginning of combat, and of course Gerard's going to say, if he pays the red, can I relic his graveyard in response, which means that he, of course, wasted the red.
Wasted to whip.
Wasted to red. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you may pay a red. If you do, return Flamewake Phoenix from your graveyard to your hand. So you see our table spotter helping out with that. We'll see how things do shake out if that interaction does come up. Fabiano says, I'll activate Relic. That's the easy part after playing a Sacred Founding untapped. Gerard going to fall down to 15, and we will go back over to Michael Hamilton.
So to answer your question, you can't make your opponent lose the red mana. If you don't exile it before the ability resolves, you pay the red inside of the ability resolving, and it comes immediately onto the battlefield. There's no in-between there.
So this will go on the stack. Now, this might not have to do with Relic. This might have to do with Path as well.
Oh, yeah. With Path to Exile, that's a different story. This ability is a check twofold. It checks when you enter the beginning of combat step. It also checks on resolution. If there is no longer a creature there that has 4 or greater power, you no longer get to use the ability.
So that Path to Exile is in the beginning of combat. Hamilton will search up a land, of course, so he'll get a basic mountain.
Yeah, this comes up specifically. Gerard has the option there. Because he has Relic of Progenitus and he has Path to Exile, if Michael Hamilton, for example, leads with land Gurmag Angler, then puts the trigger Flamewake Phoenix on the stack, Gerard, I think, is more likely to use the Relic of Progenitus as opposed to the Path to Exile. Or both. And
Yep.
you can still do both.
Fabiano is now going to bust the Relic of Progenitus. Now the graveyards are gone.
Relic of Progenitus pop is not great for Gerard. He does have that, did have that Supreme Verdict in his graveyard as well, which is an important card for later on with Snapcaster Mage. It also shuts off his search for Ascanta, but it's not that hard to get back up to 7 cards.
Let's go back over to Michael Hamilton, see if an explosive turn is on the way as he picks up a copy of Blackcleave Cliffs. It looks like he does have
Oh, let's go.
a
This hand
Goblin
is
Lore.
so good. If he goes Goblin Lore, he can get lucky and discard at least one of the Flamewake Phoenixes. He's going to pump that Flameblade up to 4 power, and then he's going to get the Flamewake Phoenix back out of the graveyard and crush in for 6 damage at least.
Now, this is one of those instances where he did not play his land pre-Goblin Lore, so he could lose his land and not be able to get back Flamewake Phoenix.
I like to gamble. This man likes to gamble. Play the land.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards. Going to lose 3 of them. Fabiano has found the 3 that he will select at random. And Flamewake Phoenixes, plural, but also that Blackcleave Cliff. So now here's the question.
Oh,
Is there a land in hand?
I don't know. I don't know. It was almost a very good Goblin Lore. If he doesn't have a land, I'm going to be so sad for Michael Hamilton. But that is the price you pay for not playing your land before you cast the Goblin Lore.
Yep.
Randomly discarded out of existence.
Now there's a hollow one, but that could have been a much more explosive turn there for Michael Hamilton. So that's a little bit unfortunate as Cryptic Command's going to go to the graveyard. A Plains will be of the draw.
That 100% means that Gerard didn't have a 4th land because Cryptic Command, one of the best cards in this situation. He did find the land with the Plains. It's going to be interesting to see what he can cobble together here to get out of this situation.
That'll be a Plains. This will be a Supreme Verdict to clean it all up. So now Michael Hamilton's got no battlefield. He's got to rebuild. He will draw a card, picks up another copy. Actually picks up his first copy of Faithless Looting. But again, this is, you got to play that land there, that instance last turn. Having 3 mana with this deck is so important. Be able to hardcast Flamewake Phoenix, flashback, Faithless Looting, all that good stuff. Now here's a Thoughtseize. See, a Cryptic, a Search, and a Timely Reinforcements.
This is a pretty easy take of Cryptic Command. Timely Reinforcements is good, but with those Flamewake Phoenixes potentially coming back soon, they're not going to gum up the ground that well, and Flamewake Phoenix is going to fly right over.
Well, Cryptic Command will be the selection there for Michael Hamilton. We're all tied up life total-wise, 11-11 now. However, the difference here is that Fabiano's probably got the best card in the game right now with Search for Ascanta being on the battlefield. There's a Flameblade Adept here for Michael Hamilton to get a little bit of pressure going. We'll head back over to Gerard. Gerard will take a look at that top card. He'll decide if he wants to use it or not.
So Michael here pretty smartly using or putting Flameblade Adept onto the battlefield before using that Faithless Looting that he drew this turn. He wanted to make sure the coast was clear, with a Thoughtseize, taking away that Cryptic Command. But now he gets to pump the Flameblade Adept while using his filter spells. So many Flame Blades, Flame Wakes.
That can be tough up here in the booth.
Yesterday, Mishra's Factory, Mishra's Workshop. That was hard. There was Chief of the Foundry, Foundry Inspector. Get out of here.
It's all a bunch of nonsense. Here's Goblin Lore. This time, Michael does play the land pre-combat. I think he realized the mistake he made earlier on in the game.
I don't know if it's even actually a mistake. It's just the safer play. You know, the odds of you discarding that specific one land and not hitting a land in the 4 cards, you know, slash them getting discarded, is not that high. But Black Leakless, you know, one of the better lands you can have in that scenario because it's your 3rd land, enters the battlefield untapped, and casts all your spells that cost 1 mana or less.
Hamilton's going to discard 3 cards here in just a moment. How many cards do you have right now? 4, 5, 6, 7. Fabiano's going to make him lose these 3. Faithless Looting, Burning Inquiry, and a Mountain will go to the graveyard.
That means he still has a lot of gas in hand. That Flame Blade Adept is very big. He's going to probably be able to get back at least one of these Flame Wake Phoenix if he so chooses. His hand still has Flame Wake Phoenix, a Delve spell, I believe.
So it looks like Hamilton's going to sacrifice a Bloodstained Mire.
Players in the Modern Classic, that is time in your round. Active player, please finish your turn. And
that'll be a Mountain.
Total additional turns. If you have a time extension or need a...
That'll be a trigger for Flame Wake Phoenix. Here's an attack. It is worth noting the lands that Michael has searched up here. Doesn't have a second black source, doesn't have his first white source. Let's see what this is going to be from Fabiano. Secure the Wastes, okay?
That's a pretty good draw here. Gerard's able to create 2 tokens. He's going to chip in, block the Flameblade Adept with both, preventing 4 damage. That also leaves him with less creatures on the battlefield than Hamilton. So next turn when he casts Timely Reinforcements, he's still able to create 3 soldiers.
Yeah, this ends up being a great turn for Fabiano. He's going to go from 11 to 9. And we're going to head back over to Gerard, see if he wants to keep this card. It looks like he does. So now he'll play he's going to play Serum Visions first and then Timely most likely.
Get a little more information before casting the spell that you're 100% casting. Next turn he is going to be able to flip Search for Ascanta as well into the Sunken Ruin. That extra mana source might be more important than the activated ability, boosting him up to having the ability to use Snapcaster Mage plus Cryptic Command out of the graveyard. But if he doesn't have Snapcaster Mage, he does have the ability to just start grinding, looking for more big spells.
Time Reinforcements will resolve. Fabiano's going to go from 9 to 15. And, of course, he'll get those 3 soldier tokens. We head back over now to Michael Hamilton.
Hamilton got some options here. He still has 1 Flamewake Phoenix left in the graveyard, I believe. I would not be surprised if he plays this big Delve creature here. But, whoa, Flashback Faithless Looting. Okay, let's see what happens.
A little surprised by that. I'm curious as to what he's on the hunt for. Going to discard a couple copies of Bloodghast.
That plays. Getting back some Bloodghast. You know, if he had those Bloodghast kind of rotting in his hand for a while, he just wants to get them in the graveyard so that he gets full value out of that Faithless Looting, finds some more big threats.
Sacred finally going to enter the battlefield untapped. Bloodghast will come back. Flamelake Phoenix will come in here for 2.
Michael Hamilton's at 8 life.
Yeah. Let's see what this is going to be. Flameblade Adept, pass the turn back. This is a little bit risky simply because you see for Fabiano, got the Colonnade out there, got some knights that can attack you, and you have to imagine there are still some burn spells left in Fabiano's deck. Not as many as in Game 1 and Game 2 pre-sideboard, but I think there are probably some.
This game definitely became interesting. Gerard's able to flip this Ascanta. That's going to turn on Celestial Colonnade. Now Gerard has to figure out whether or not he wants to attack with any of these soldier tokens. He may risk death. There's 7 power on the battlefield. So if he attacks with all the tokens, or at least only leaves 1 blocker back, you know, there's a chance he dies to like Bolt plus discard 4 or 5 cards.
Well, Fabiano, he knows what he wants to do. He says, I want to get in with Colony, get you down to 4.
2-turn clock, definitely a smart play from Gerard's side. However, Michael Hamilton does have the Flameblade Phoenix in hand that he can play post-combat in the second main phase and use that to block the Celestial Colonnade. Normally, having to attack every turn means that this creature doesn't block. Not a lot of people actually cast Flamewake Phoenix post-combat, but it is something available to you.
Faithless Looting in hand here for Michael Hamilton, among other options. Can't forget about that Flameblade Phoenix that Todd just did mention. But again, Hamilton in a little bit of trouble at this stage of things.
I like leading with the Faithless Looting. You want to get rid of those extra lands right now. You don't really need them. And you need to cast that Flamewake Phoenix post-combat. You're looking for a number of things to apply more pressure. You want Gerard to have to... Ooh, Lingering Souls off the top.
You got to be happy
with
that.
What a draw. That's so much better than Flamewake Phoenix in this spot. You might want to hold on to the Flamewake Phoenix anyway, though, just in case.
No, I still want to hold on to it. I still have some interest in hard casting it for sure.
But I like the attack here first with most of my creatures. I might hold back the Flamewake Phoenix, the Flameblade Adept, just so you can block those tokens and you don't put yourself on such a bad clock.
Well, I think those three Bloodghast, Flamewake. Well, Flamewake Phoenix is obviously attacking, and this is the interesting one: is if you want to get in or not with Flameblade Adept. So that's going to take for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
This is 10 damage. He needs to block with at least one thing to not just die to Lightning Bolt. Sorry, 9 damage.
Yeah, that's 9 damage. Yeah.
Excuse me. Last turn it was 4 power after the Goblin Lore, but this time it was just Faithless Looting. I like Gerard playing it safe with the double block. Ooh, the triple block. Okay.
Yeah, Gerard's gonna use his life total to advantage here because, and I like this because Gerard's got Michael down to 4 and he's got an active Escanta, so he's incentivized to play a couple of more turns if he can. Here comes Lingering Souls. That'll bring 2 Spirits on. That means that Colonnade can be blocked.
Yeah, this was a insane pickup for Michael, and this might just be the card that seals the deal and knocks Gerard Fabiano out of this top 8.
Fabiano's going to untap now. He'll take a draw step. He's going to slow roll himself a little bit because that's what he does. Picked up a Logic Knot, a bit of a stinker.
I believe he has Runed Halo as well, which can protect him from the likes of Bloodghast or the Flamewake Phoenixes, but not both.
I think Fabiano just said it's going to be your turn, perhaps. Actually, no. He's going to continue to play his turn a little bit here, it looks like.
Definitely a tough spot for Gerard. He had Michael on the ropes, but even with the post-combat Flamewake Phoenix to block the Celestial Colonnade, Michael still wasn't dead unless Gerard peeled a removal spell of some sort. That Lingering Souls, though, just feels like the game is over now.
It was a huge draw, no doubt about it.
Now, Michael doesn't know that Gerard doesn't have something like Cryptic Command here to go tap your squad, untap, attack you with Colonnade. But even if that happens, he still has the potential for a post-combat Lingering Souls or a post-combat Flamewake Phoenix.
Yep. And because of that, I like playing Flamewake Phoenix pre-combat here.
Oh, for sure.
Because he's got Lingering Souls as a backup plan.
Well, he has to fetch to do that, though, and that leaves him vulnerable to Lightning Bolt.
That's a good point.
This Tasker play might be slightly better because it lets you trigger the Flamewake Phoenix out of the graveyard, which actually presents lethal this turn. Otherwise, you're only actually attacking for 8.
How are you presenting lethal this turn?
The last Flamewake Phoenix out of the graveyard. That's 8 from the creatures and 2 from the souls.
Well, so you've got 4 from both Flamewake Phoenixes and 2 from the souls.
And 4 from the Bloodghast.
Well, Rune Halo. Not
happening. My bad. Okay. So, yeah, maybe he'll hold back on the Lingering Souls here. Just attack with the Flamewake Phoenixes. And try to go for lethal over the next few turns.
Down to 5.
And he still has that Flamewake Phoenix in hand that he can use as a blocker the next turn, even if Gerard's able to find Cryptic Command or Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah, the question is, what does Fabiano find now?
4 lands.
Well.
4 lands.
That's...
I think his runes are sunken.
Ooh, boy. That doesn't happen often.
Not to you, maybe.
Let's see what Gerard draws now. That's tough. Boy.
Squeeze. Is that 5th land?
Serum
Those are Serum
Visions.
Visions.
A redraw.
Redrawski.
Fabiano does have 4 sources of blue mana, so it can redraw into Cryptic.
What a sweat. I think Gerard's trying to figure out if he can find something off of Escanta for 2 mana that would protect him, and I don't think that there is anything. Celestial Purge can clear off the Tasigur, but he would still be facing potentially 6 damage. And he doesn't have enough mana to use Escanta and find a Cryptic command. Serum Visions can also no longer find Snapcaster Mage, so I believe he's on 1, maybe 2 Cryptic commands left in deck. But earlier from the Exile and the Burning Inquiry, I'm not actually sure how many Cryptic commands he has left. He only has 3 to start.
Fabiano going to squeeze it out.
He found the Cryptic command.
Okay.
Wow, what a top deck.
You sure about that?
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
wrong. I'm wrong. It was a blue card. Maybe it's another search for Escanta. Oh, I thought it was the Cryptic command. I think he might just be dead.
He'll play a land. It's a Flooded Strand.
Just let me see your hand, Gerard. I want to know what it is for sure.
Yeah, that's a Logic Knot.
And something else. He's had the knot for a few turns.
Yeah, the knot has been pretty bad for him, unfortunately. We'll head back over to Michael Hamilton now. Picked up a copy of Burning Inquiry. And I think we're kind of in the same spot that we saw Michael be in a little bit earlier in this match, which is when you're playing against Cryptic Command, in this particular spot, I think he is happy to just say attack step.
Oh, for sure. Gerard can fetch and block with Celestial Colonnade, fetching out one of his islands or plains. And if he also has a Path to Exile, I believe that alone is enough to... Oh, nope, he would go down to 4 from the fetch land and still take 4 damage. So that line, not quite enough. I think this is the end for Gerard Fabiano here.
Here come the knuckleheads. See if Fabiano has anything. He will reach for the Colonnade. I think he's going to activate his Kanta. And if he's activating his Kanta, then this game was definitely over.
Yeah, we know the contents of his deck. He knows the contents of his deck. This is all she wrote.
Yep. Path can take care of Tasigur.
Still coming in for 8. Or for 6, excuse me. Even if you had fetch plus another removal spell, it would still be 4 coming in.
That is going to do it. Michael Hamilton going to win this match here over Gerard Fabiano. 3 games to 1. Mardu Hollow One going to take care of Jeskai Control. And for Mike